Welcome, old friends and newcomers, not as two groups, but as one consciousness. This hour is not a new river. It is a branch of the same tree, sap flowing from one root. We continue, not by adding another set of words to your collection, but by consenting to a deeper silence than words can hold. If you have come with questions, with hopes, with the weight of needs good, bring them into this one place where the answer is not information, but presence. Where two or three are gathered together in my name, there am I in the midst of them. That is our advantage tonight, a united consciousness here that lifts all boats, not because we think the same thought, but because we consent to the same presence. You also have a disadvantage. You have been well trained in many places to believe that words and thoughts can do God's work. You have habits of affirmation. Leave them at the door. Do not bring your charms and formulas into a sanctuary that has no use for them. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions. Don't go on with vain repetitions. Stop. Stop. If the tongue starts, let it fall quiet. If the mind rushes to explain God to God, hold it still. We are not here to tell the infinite what it is. We are here to know, to acknowledge, to recognize God is. The Lord is. That's all. Now listen carefully, for we set the thesis of all our work, and I will not soften it for your comfort. Thought has no power. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom of heaven. Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? Who can make one hair white or black? Who can heal the sick, raise the dead, multiply loaves and fishes by mental effort? Not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. If it is by spirit, then it is not by thought, not by the contrivances of the human mind. The only power is presence. God is one. Therefore, there is no power left over for thought to wield. This does not insult your intelligence. It liberates you from its superstition. Your mind is a fine servant in its realm, but it is not the instrument of God. The letter is helpful only to bring us to the threshold where the Spirit takes over. Words can point. They cannot heal. Thoughts can describe. They cannot bestow. The moment you expect your affirmation to produce effect, you have enthroned the second power and exiled yourself from the simple fact God is. Our advantage, then, is not our eloquence, but our union. Let your neighbor's silence strengthen yours. Let the devotion of those who have walked this way steady your feet. If there be 10 righteous in a city, the city is blessed. If there be a handful in this room consenting to one presence, all who entered in separate boats will find themselves borne by one tide. Take courage in that. The work is not heavy when the burden of doing is laid down. I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. If the Master could say that, can we not be honest? Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy. It is the gate to grace. So we begin by ending something. End the habit that imagines God waits upon your words. End the restlessness that thinks many sayings are much prayer. Be still and know that I am God. In that stillness, we are not passive, we are receptive. In that receptivity, we stand together. One life, one light, one love, releasing the superstition that words can do God's work and allowing the one who is to be what the one is here, now, enough. God is. And because God is, we are at rest. Now let us look plainly at this habit that has cost you sleep and peace. The treadmill of affirmations. You know it well. The more you say them, the more you must say them. The more you say them, the more strain appears in the gaps between them. In the night watch, when the lips tire and the tongue sticks to the roof of the mouth, fear rushes into the silence where an affirmation used to be. Then you scold yourself for not repeating enough, and you bind yourself to another hour, another day, another week of trying to hold the universe steady with syllables. That is not prayer. That is anxiety in holy clothing. Who started you on that treadmill? Not God. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit to his stature? Who can make one hair white or black by mental effort? Who can heal a heart, or reconcile a home, or free a body by manipulating a string of sentences? Not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. If it is by spirit, it is not by thought. If it is by grace, it is not by repetition. As long as you tie your hope to the constant motion of the mind, you will fear the stillness in which God is known. Now, I am not unkind to the beginner who uses words the way a child uses a railing when learning to walk. But hear me, as I speak to the adult of spirit in you, affirming truth is scarcely higher than thinking it. Both belong to the letter. You can print 1,000 cards. You can underline every verse in your book. Without realization, the letter is just ink on mind. The old word says it simply. The letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. Words do not give life. Presence does. Words can point. They cannot confer. Thought can describe. It cannot create. Thought is not power. Here is the paradox, and you must let it undo you so that you may be remade. As long as you believe there is power in a good thought, you are far from the kingdom. You have merely exchanged one superstition for another. Once you believed in the power of a bad thought to harm you. Now you believe in the power of a good thought to save you. Both beliefs enthrone a second power. Both keep you circling an altar to which no God ever came. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. When you ascribe efficacy to mental affirmations, you have made an idol of the personal mind. You polish it, you feed it, you beg it to work wonders. It cannot, it never could, it never will. A woman sat with me once, beads in her hand, each bead engraved with a promise. I say them all day, she whispered, and when I stop, the pain returns. Of course it returns. The mind was holding a gate shut with a shoulder that finally tired. A businessman confessed, I repeat, God is my supply 500 times before breakfast. And then he looks at his bank book between repetitions, and terror looks back. This is the tyranny of gaps. This is the false religion of quantity. The mind says, more, louder, faster. Spirit says, be still and know that I am God. The one is labor, the other is Sabbath. Do not hear this as scorn. Hear it as freedom. Stop paying tithes to a powerless priest. The personal mind is a serviceable clerk. It can add columns and keep appointments, but it is not the sanctuary, and it is not the high priest of your soul. My thoughts are not your thoughts, says the Eternal. What are you doing trying to bully your thoughts into divinity? What are you doing trying to make a storm into a lighthouse by repeating the word light? If the sun is risen, there is light. If God is, there is grace. If God is one, there is no power left over for thought, good or bad, to wield. So I say to you, for your peace, don't go on with vain repetitions. Stop, stop. Let your tongue fall quiet. Let the mind acknowledge its bankruptcy as an instrument of healing. Do not curse it. Do not crown it. Let it take its humble seat and be taught. You cannot see God, hear God, taste God, touch God, smell God, or think God. You can only know God by God's own knowing of himself in you. Until you are ready to abandon the idol of mental causation, you will prowl the temple looking for a switch that does not exist. When the idol falls, you will discover the altar that has always been there, and upon it nothing. You brought only the living presence. God is. And because God is, you can rest from the futile labor of affirming and begin to live in the ease of recognition. There are two parts to this work. And until you grasp the distinction, you will wander the anteroom, mistaking wallpaper for windows. There is the letter of truth, and there is the spirit or consciousness of truth. The letter is study, statement, scripture, sentence. The spirit is realized presence. The letter is map. The spirit is the country. You can frame the map, teach the symbols, score a perfect mark on every test, and still be a stranger to the land. The letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. The letter is necessary to bring you to the threshold. The spirit alone opens the door and draws you in. Think of the letter as scaffolding. It is good, honorable, indispensable while the house goes up. But when the roof is set and the structure stands, what do? You take down the scaffolding, or you will never walk the rooms. Some of you have been sleeping on the scaffolding and calling it a home. You have polished the rungs, labeled the planks, and learned the angles. That is why you wake cold and unhealed. Scaffolding was never meant to shelter you. It was designed to lift you to a higher plane, and when it has done that, it must be removed. In our work, the roof is silence, and the dwelling is realized. Presence. Use the words until they carry you to the wordless. Then let them fall away. Spirit is not recited. Spirit is realized. It is a living awareness that precedes thought, that outlives emotion, that does not require a witness to be real. Do you remember how the master moved? He did not arrange syllables to convince storms or sickness. He retired to the mountain, and when he returned, the authority was in his being. I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. That is not speech. That is state. Peter and John at the gate did not produce a formula. They spoke from realized haveness. Such as I have, give I thee. What did they have? Not a sentence. Presence? And presence does not come by chanting a sentence about presence. It comes by yielding to the one who already is. Your aim in practice is simple and radical. Rise above the mind into the realm of pure consciousness. Above the mind, not by violence, not by despising it, but by seeing its limit and consenting to be carried beyond it. Be still and know that I am God. Be still first, then know. If you try to know with the motion of mind, you bring the letter to a place reserved for spirit, and you will feel the emptiness that follows. You cannot see God, hear God, taste God, touch God, smell God, or think God. You can only know God by God's knowing of himself in you. That knowing appears when the mind yields and you rest, wordless, thoughtless, receptive. Let the two-word treatment, God is, serve you as a bell to call you to this inner sanctuary. And then let even those words dissolve into the hush in which the is of God announces itself. If you confuse letter with spirit, you will live on formulas without fruit. You will take verses like talismans into a field where only presence is food, and you will come back hungry. Do not make a God of holy sentences. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Me presence, I am. When you ascribe power to the letter, you commit a subtle idolatry, and the proof is always the same. You strain, you fear the gaps, and you require quantity to feel safe. Stop, let the letter do its sacred work, and then get out of the way. Let the scaffold carry you upward, and then walk upon the roof that silence built. This is the framework of our journey together. We will read, yes. We will remember, yes. But we read to be led. We remember to release. We take the hand of the letter until the Spirit takes us in its arms. In that embrace, nothing is added, nothing is argued, nothing is proved. Harmony unfolds by grace because the only power is recognized as present. God is. In that is. The words bow, the mind rests, and life itself bears witness. Now we plant our feet where there is no wind to move them. God is one. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power. Let that be more than a sentence. Let it be the floor beneath your life. Hear the ancient witness. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one Lord. Hear the prophet's thunder. I am the Lord, and there is none else. If God fills heaven and earth, where would a second power stand? If the ocean is one, where is there room for another ocean alongside it? It is not there. It never was. It never will be. God is one. In the light of that one, all rivals dissolve. Disease presents itself with a voice. Fear throws its cloak about your shoulders. Fate whispers from the corners of your house. Thought itself parades as counselor and king. What are these in the presence of the one? They are names without substance, shadows projected on the screen of belief. As long as you treat them as powers to be opposed, you have confessed a second throne. As long as you oppose a problem with a thought, you have enthroned two powers, the supposed power in the problem and the supposed power in your thought to conquer it. In that very contest, you have left the kingdom of the simple. God is. There is no such entity as a second mind. Mortal mind is a term denoting nothingness. It serves a pedagogical purpose. We name the appearance so that we may learn to disregard it. But do not be tricked by the label. There is not a mind apart from mind, a life apart from life, a law apart from law. With me is no variableness, neither shadow of turning. If you make a law out of disease and then a counter law out of thought, you have built a courtroom in an empty lot. God is not on trial. Only your belief is. Consider this. Who by taking thought drove back the sea? Who by taking thought fed the multitude? Who by taking thought stilled the wind? The master never spoke as if to a rival. He recognized the one. I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. That is the language of oneness. The storm had no power to silence, and his thought had no power to command. The presence realized was the only power there ever was, and in that realization, discord could not stand, not because it was conquered, but because it was nothing in the face of his. Do not argue with me now in your heart, but my symptom hurts, but my account is empty, but my child is far from home. I do not despise those cries. I invite them into a truth larger than the cry. If God is one, there is no power left over for pain to wield, for poverty to brandish, for distance to enforce. Do not take that as a call to deny appearances with brave phrases. It is a call to stop resisting appearances with thought. Stop, rest, be still, and know that I am God. Not I will be, I am. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. Not because I string together affirmations, but because the isness shepherds, being, when you feel the rise of fear, do not meet it with a louder chorus of words. That only proves you still believe fear has a weapon. Instead, let the two-word treatment ring as a bell and then fall silent. God is. Say it once, like a key that opens the door, and then enter. In that entry, thought surrenders, fear withers, disease is found without law. For where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, not from a duel, but from a dream. Bring your mind to this simple edge. If God is, that's all. The Lord is, that's all. Hold no second altar in reserve. Refuse the intrigue of opposites. Refuse the weary heroism of mental combat. Stand in the one and let the one stand in you. God is one. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power. In that recognition, harmony is not achieved. It is revealed, for nothing remained to oppose it. If God is one, if there is no other power, then prayer must be something altogether different from what habit has made of it. It cannot be informing, omniscience, advising, wisdom, or persuading love to do what love is. Your Father knoweth what things ye have need of before ye ask him. Then what is all this asking? Stop. Stop. Let your tongue fall out before you talk to God. Hold those teeth together. Do not begin the old recital of needs, fears, and futures. Be not as the heathen who think they shall be heard for their much speaking. Prayer is not telling God. Prayer is receiving God. Prayer is not arranging the world. Prayer is consenting to presence. Be still and know that I am God. Notice the order. Be still, then know. If you try to know in motion, you are still trying to do with thought what only Spirit reveals. True prayer puts you on the receiving end of God. It is not a broadcast. It is not even a whisper. It is a window quietly open to morning. As surely as the sun needs no invitation to pour through glass, so the grace of God needs no coaxing to appear where stillness is offered. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Not in effort, not in repetition, in quietness and confidence in the hush where the is of God announces itself without a word. Most of our praying has been two-power thinking in religious garments. We have treated disease as a power to be overruled by declarations, lack as a power to be bribed by vows, danger as a power to be negotiated with by promises. Then we march to the throne with requests, and we think perhaps we have moved omnipotence to pity. Not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. If it is by Spirit, it will not be by pressure. If it is by grace, it will not be by outcomes first. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Added, not wrestled for. Added, not engineered. Added, because presence realized leaves no vacuum for discord to occupy. Let us be very practical now. When you pray, enter the closet, close the door on the world's news and your own commentary. Sit, feet on the floor or folded, no magic in the posture, only quiet intention. Let your hands rest. Let your tongue rest. Hold those teeth together. Refuse the old urge to describe God to God. If a request rises, smile at it and let it pass. Use the two-word treatment once as a bell that gathers you. God is. Then let even that bow and be silent. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Do not reach for a sensation. Do not hunt for a sign. Attend as if to a presence that has always been there and only needed your listening. 2 minutes, 5 minutes time is not the measure. When thoughts intrude, do not fight them. That would crown them. Quietly set them aside as you would a child's sleeve tug, and return to still knowing God is. How shall I know that prayer has happened? You ask. You will not know it by fireworks. You will know it by a hush that is not of your making, by a softening where strain had lodged, by a release you cannot account for. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. The world's peace is an arrangement of circumstances. This peace is the signature of presence. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. You know it because it knows you. The Spirit bears witness with your spirit that you are home. In that witness, forms begin to take care of themselves because grace is arranging what effort could not. So begin now. Not later. Begin with inadequacy, confessed and mouth closed. I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Let that be the posture of your heart. Where 2 or 3 consent to this silence, I am in the midst of them. We are gathered. We are consenting. Stop talking to God. Receive. Acquaint now thyself with him and be at peace. God is, that's all. In that all, prayer is fulfilled before a word is spoken, and harmony appears by grace. If prayer is receiving, then the receiver must cease pretending to broadcast. This is where the ancient confession becomes our present doorway. I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Let that be more than a verse. Let it be your identity tonight. Do away with spiritual bravado. No man has ever lived who could heal another person spiritually. Not the prophets, not the apostles, not the saints, not one. What then did they have? Presence realized. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power. And because there is only one power, there is no room left for the personal doer to boast, to calculate, or to convene an inner committee about tomorrow. Be very firm in your understanding of your own inadequacy. I do not mean shame. I mean clarity. As long as you secretly believe you can engineer harmony by intellect, will, or technique, you will keep shouldering the ark and you will stumble, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit, saith the Lord. By spirit, not by personal efficiency, by grace, not by human excellence. Hear the paradox that liberates. When you know that you can do nothing, everything necessary is done through you. My strength is made perfect in weakness. When the straw ceases to strain, the breath moves freely through it. When the branch ceases to pretend it is the vine, the sap flows and fruit appears. Without me, ye can do nothing. Here is the practice line for your heart, and let it become your first reflex. Let me turn this over now to the Father. Let me feel your presence. Not, let me fix this. Not, let me design an answer. Not, let me select the right affirmation. Let me turn this over. Let me feel your presence. Say it once, quietly, and then be still. In that turning, do not weigh outcomes. Do not preview conversations. Do not tighten your jaw around a plan. Interior availability is the new posture. Hands open, mind slackened, attention resting in the one who already is. You will be tempted to keep a hand on the wheel. The mind will whisper, just in case. Have the courage to doubt your own competence in the realm of spirit. Lean not unto thine own understanding. Be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might, not in the power of your foresight. This strength is not the chest out of self. It is the steadying hush of presence recognized. It feels like less of you and more of God because it is less of you and more of God. The ego calls that weakness. Scripture calls it wisdom. When I am weak, then am I strong. Let us bring it to the doorstep of your day. The message arrives with news you did not want. Turn it over now to the Father. Feel his presence. The bill sits on the table. Turn it over now to the Father. Feel his presence. The pain rises in the night. Turn it over now to the Father. Feel his presence. Do not begin to plan. Do not begin to argue with appearances. Do not begin to measure your faith. Begin by surrender. Begin by acknowledgement. God is. The Lord is my shepherd. In that simple is, the burden shifts, the yoke becomes easy, and the work is done through you without strain. You are not the musician. You are the instrument. You are not the light. You are the transparency through which light reveals itself. Treat yourself that way. Hold still long enough for the Father within to do the works. Stop trying to help omnipotence. Let your help be consent. Let your contribution be emptiness, readiness, listening. Cast all your care upon him, for he careth for you. And as you cast it, do not peek to see if he caught it. Rest. The proof will not be the thrill of your mind, but the quiet rearrangement of forms that follows recognition. Turn it over now to the Father. Let me feel your presence. Be very firm in your inadequacy, and you will find that the one presence, which is all adequacy, lives itself as you. Let us make this very plain by doing it together. 2 minutes, 2 paths. First, the path you know too well. For 60 seconds, let the mind have its way. Begin the affirmations. I am strong. I am healed. God is my supply. Everything works together for my good. No weapon formed against me shall prosper. Say them faster. Pile them up. God in me, through me, as me. I am calm. I am fearless. I am under the law of divine abundance. Keep going. Notice something? The breath shortens. The shoulders creep upward. The eyes look for a clock. How much longer? You repeat, not to rest in God, but to outrun a feeling under the words. There is a tiny bargain hiding. If I say enough sentences, perhaps the form will shift. There is a covert glance at outcome between syllables. When ye pray, use not vain repetitions. But the mind says, one more, just in case. Listen beneath the chorus and you can hear what is really speaking. Fear, pleading with itself in holy phrases. Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit to his stature? Which of you, by stacking words, can turn the tide? As the seconds pass, notice the tightening at the jaw, the forehead drawing in, the subtle will to make something happen. The mind shouts to drown its own trembling, and the very strain proves the premise. It still believes in another power. 2 powers in a duel, the so-called problem in your thought trying to conquer it. In that duel, you have already left the kingdom of Is. Stop. That is enough. Drop it now. Path B. Close the lips. Hold those teeth together. Put the watch face down. Let the hands rest wherever they will. Do not arrange the breath. Let it come as it comes. Say once in the heart, not as magic, but as acknowledgement, God is. Then let even those words fall like a feather to the ground. No requests, no edits, no improving the prayer. Be still and know that I am God. Be still. No, I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Consent to that. Yield the door. If a thought knocks, do not argue, do not entertain. Let it pass by as a stranger at the door of a house, not your own. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. Stay with this quiet for a minute. Notice what does not need your help. The rise and fall at the chest, the way the room holds you without condition, the floor faithful beneath your feet. Somewhere between the collarbones and the crown, a soft unwinding begins. No trumpet, no trance, just the absence of strain. The shoulders drop of themselves, the breath deepens of itself, the forehead smooths of itself. You did not do it. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, give I unto you. You cannot see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it. You know it because it knows you. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Liberty from the need to control. Liberty from the argument of two. In this hush, there is no opponent left to fight, no outcome to coerce, no clock to fear. There is only presence, present with itself. Now, open your eyes gently, but do not leave the room of that awareness. Name what you just witnessed so you will not forget. Repetition sought control. Recognition yielded to presence. Affirmation strained for an outcome. Recognition rested in the one who is already here. The first path made a worker of you and a problem of God. The second path made an instrument of you and let God be God. Not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. This is not a performance, you perfect. It is a consent you renew 2 minutes, many times a day if you like, but never to get anything, only to remember the only thing God is. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Let that be your treatment. And then let the treatment be silence. In that silence, the Father within doeth the works, and you rest. Now carry this into your relationships, your practice, your phone calls, your letters. There is no practitioner apart. God, the one presence, is the life of you, the life of the one who asks for help, and the life that is doing the helping. One life, one being, one consciousness. I and my Father are one. And hear the Master's prayer for us, not for some future heaven, but for now, that they all may be one, as thou, Father, art in me, and I in thee. If this is so, and it is, what is there to send? Where would you send it? How shall spirit travel to spirit? Whither shall I flee from thy presence? The one presence cannot be nearer to you than to the 1 miles away, nor can it be withheld here and bestowed there. Therefore, healing is never a transaction across distance. It is recognition of what already is. As long as you imagine yourself over here doing something to assist someone over there, you have built 2 altars. Stop. Stop. Do away with formulas, with techniques that prescribe words at the top of the hour or certain syllables whispered toward the east. There is no virtue in a schedule if it props up separation. There is one body and one spirit. If there is one body and one spirit, any method that depends upon a practitioner's mind working upon a patient's body has confessed to. The letter of a treatment cannot bridge a gap that does not exist. Only realized oneness reveals there was no gap. What, then, is a practitioner? Not a spiritual mechanic, not a person endowed with a private arsenal of sacred phrases. A practitioner is a state of consciousness that knows this truth. That is all. Such as I have, give I thee. What have you, practitioner? Not a technique. Presence. Have it. Know it. Be still in it. That is your entire art. When a call comes, you do not marshal sentences. You yield. You do not send out thought. You enter the silence in which God is already the only life of all concerned. In that realization, harmony appears not because your mind reached across a river, but because the river was a mirage. Let me tell you something to make this plain. A note once arrived from a woman on another shore. The words were tight with fear. The ink itself looked hurried. The old habit would have me reach for a formula, to aim a beam of thought like a lighthouse across the fog. But thought is not light. I sat. God is. And then no more words. I rested until the hush not made by me, but given settled like dew. There was no woman and a me and a God. There was God being itself. The next day, a second letter arrived. It is quiet. I don't know what changed. Forms had rearranged without argument, not because anything traveled, but because recognition dissolved the pretense of twoness. When your brother asks for help, do not look at him as a separate life in trouble. Do not take hold of his name and try to paste holy labels over it. See through the appearance to the fact God as being this very life, as the only life there is. Say once in the heart, only once, as acknowledgement, not as magic God is. Then be still. Be still and know that I am God. Know for no one and for everyone, because in oneness there is no apartness to assign. If you are two or three together, do not brace yourselves like a team pulling a rope. Gather into silence. Where two or three are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. The midst is not between, it is the very life of all. In that midst, harmony appears without argument, because there is nothing left to argue with. Train yourself to refuse every practice that presumes distance. Do not send thoughts. Do not push outcomes. Do not measure success by reports. Measure only by fidelity to oneness. God is one. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power at the scene, and it is the scene. In him we live and move and have our being. If this is true, and it is, then the practitioner, the patient, and God are names for one life. Knowing itself, rest there. Let the Father within do the works. Now the practice itself, so plain that you will be tempted to make it fancy. Do not. The two-word treatment is your bell. God is. Say it inwardly once, twice, if the habit of noise is strong, and then let the words fall away into the awareness to which they point. Do not ride the words. Use them as you would a rung on a ladder, and then step onto the roof. Be still. Close the lips. Hold those teeth together. Let the hands rest. Feel the natural rise and fall at the chest. Wait without agenda. God is. Not God will be. Not God was. Not God if God is. Make this your daily discipline. Brief, many times. 10 seconds here, 20 seconds there. Upon waking, before the first sentence of the day, God is in silence. Before you read a message, God is in silence. At the sink, in the doorway, at the threshold of a task, God is and silence. Pray without ceasing does not mean speak without ceasing. It means recognize without ceasing. Bring to remembrance again and again that God is one. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power. Let the remembrance return you from the wheel of thought to the hush of presence. In that hush, refuse hunting for proof. You can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it, yet it is. Do not make a god of sensation. Do not measure the invisible by the yardstick of your nerves. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Confidence in what? Not in a thought, in isness itself. Your work is not to feel something special. Your work is to stop arguing with the already present. God is, that's all. Here is the simple order for each sitting. Sit or stand as you are. Posture is not the secret. Close the lips. Hold those teeth together. Do not tell. Do not ask. Do not bargain. Say once in the heart, God is. Then surrender the sentence to silence. If a thought appears, do not wrestle. Let it pass as a cloud crossing a sky it cannot stain. If an emotion rises, do not diagnose. Let it be washed by the same stillness. Wait, be still, and know that I am God. Be still first, then knowing appears of itself. When it does, it will not be a picture or a plan. It will be a hush, light as dew, that was never manufactured by you. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Do this many times a day until frequency becomes fidelity. Short and honest is better than long and labored. If you find yourself repeating the two words like beads on a string, stop, stop, that is the beginning of vain repetition. Use the bell once, enter the room, remain. If you emerge from the room and find yourself tangled in the world again, do not scold. Ring the bell again. God is. And silence. Now for our life together. United consciousness accomplishes what no individual mind could dream, not by force, but by recognition. When your brother calls, do not form sentences on his behalf. Sit. God is in silence. When you meet in a living room, or share a table in a cafe, or stand together on a street corner, do not brace like a team to pull a load. Consent to oneness, where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name. There am I in the midst of them. The midst is not a between. It is the one life of all. Hold that silently for 2 minutes. No pushing, no sending, no aiming. Let the Father within do the works. Set a simple rhythm for your day. Upon waking, at each threshold, before each conversation, at midday, at dusk, in the night watches when you stir, God is in silence. Acquaint now thyself with him, and be at peace. As you keep this tryst, you will notice that forms arrange themselves without your editorial hand. Do not chase them. Do not even check on them. Stay with the discipline. God is one. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power. Let the simple 2 words return you, again and again, to wordless recognition of presence. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. That is enough. Now we come to the unlearning itself, the holy undoing of our old reliances. You have a practice. Now you must let it empty the shelves of the mind. Have the courage to doubt your concepts of God so reality may reveal itself, not cynicism, honesty. If what you have called God is only a polished idea, lay it on the altar and step back. Be still long enough to find whether there is a living presence when the thought has fallen silent. Lean not unto thine own understanding. Have enough courage, if necessary, to doubt that your understanding is God at all. As long as you have faith in a good thought, you worship a second power. As long as you believe that a bright idea can heal, you have set up an altar beside the one. My thoughts are not your thoughts. Neither are your ways my ways. saith the Lord. If God is one, what room remains for the scepter of thought to rule? Who by taking thought can add a cubit to his stature? Who by taking thought can add a breath to this moment? The kingdom of God is not in word, but in power, not in syllables, but in spirit. The letter points, the spirit heals. When the letter has pointed, let it bow. Stop, stop. Do not keep polishing the signpost when the road stands open before you. Ask yourself plainly, and let it ring through your being. If God is, what is left for thought to add? If the ocean is already full, what bucket will increase it? If the sun is risen, what candle will brighten noon? If God is the doer, who is the doer now? I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. If this is true, and it is, then every time you reach for a thought to make holiness happen, you confess the absence of the very presence you just declared. Lay down that double life. Let the mind come to the end of itself and discover it was never the instrument of power. It is at best a witness to the power that is. Here is where discipline becomes deconditioning. Sit through the impulse to fix. Remain until the itch of control loses authority. When the urge to compose a perfect sentence rises like a tick under the skin, do not scratch. Close the lips. Hold those teeth together. Let the heat pass through without commentary. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You will feel the old craftsman pacing in the shop, reaching for tools. Do not hire him. He has no commission in the realm of spirit. Wait until you can feel the space where the tool rack used to be uncluttered, unthreatened, available in that space. Presence announces itself not with fireworks, but with quiet certainty. In returning and rest shall ye be saved. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. In the silence, fear has no throne. It sits high only when thought props up the chair. Withdraw the props. Do not argue with fear. That crowns it. Do not soothe it with slogans. That feeds it. Sit and let the winds blow over an ocean they cannot empty. Perfect love casteth out fear. That love is not your sentiment. It is presence being itself. Presence needs no helper. God is then, what shall we add? God is then, who shall we send? God is then, to whom shall we explain God? The Lord is in his holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before him. In that hush, you will notice that the engine of anxiety, deprived of your belief, sputters and dies without a battle. No victory march, just absence. Now embrace the paradox that frees you. Your doubt of mind's power is faith in God's. Your refusal to trust a good thought is trust in the one beyond thought. When I am weak, then am I strong. He that loseth his life for my sake shall find it. Lose the life of mental heroics and find the life of spirit unlabored. You can't see it, hear it, taste it, touch it, smell it, or think it, and yet it is. The proof is not sensation. The proof is the ceasing of strain, the quiet reordering of what seemed tangled. Take no thought for your life what ye shall eat, or what ye shall put on. Seek first the kingdom, the isness, and all these things are added without your mind arranging them. So let the practice ripen into this brave simplicity. Doubt the mind, consent to silence. Behold the paradox. God is. Say it once, then let even that fall away. Wait until the itch to manage has no voice left that you believe. In that waiting, the real makes itself known. and you discover that nothing needed your help to be what God already is. Stop demonstrating things. Stop. Stop. The moment you set your heart to demonstrate dollars, you confess a second power named lack. The instant you take up a contest to demonstrate health, you enthrone a rival called disease. Cease it. Forget outcomes and demonstrate God. Seek first the kingdom, the isness, and all these things are added, not achieved by the cleverness of thought, added by grace, not by might, nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord. The Spirit adds, mind demands. The Spirit bestows, will bargains. Your practice now is to take your hands off the levers of effect and place your attention on the one cause. That is not a cause among causes. God is. Let us speak plainly of supply. Do not demonstrate dollars. Do not outline figures, timelines, and signatures before the throne of omnipresence. The earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. If this is true, and it is, what number would you add to fullness to improve it? Sit, acknowledge once God is, and be still. Refuse the meeting with anxiety that tries to bargain in the outer courts. Rest until you can feel the hush that does not check the mailbox in advance. Then go about the day without designing a deposit. The forms appear where grace places them, not to reward your words, but to reveal that lack had no law behind it. Consider the lilies, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. They do not draft budgets of petals. They abide, and the field is clothed. Abide, and the day is clothed. Health now. Do not fight symptoms. Do not consult the thermometer of fear. Turn, abide in presence. God is one. If God is one, where is the second life to be sick apart from God? You will feel the mind reach for a contest, resist, the urge to resist. Close the lips. Let the decree be inward. Once God is, then silence. I am the Lord that healeth thee. But hear it rightly, presence revealing its own wholeness, not a power entering from outside to mend the second thing. He restoreth my soul. As you remain, without argument, the strain leaves first. The form reorders itself afterward. Do not time it. Do not test it. Be simple. The Lord is the health of my countenance. Let the Lord be the health of your measure. Peace first. Sensation later or never. Wholeness reveals itself, because it is what is. Relationships. Stop scripting outcomes. Do not compose speeches at 3 a.m. and call it prayer. Do not move people around the chessboard of your mind and call it love. Rest in oneness, that they all may be one. If there is one life living itself, as each of us, where is the corridor down which your influence must travel? Abide until the heat in your chest cools to still water. In that stillness, words you had prepared dissolve. Meetings rearrange without your design. Hardness softens without your insistence. Blessed are the peacemakers, not because they engineer peace, but because they stand so still in oneness that peace recognizes itself. Let harmony order itself. Do not push the door or hold it shut. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. Let him make the posture of your home. Work. Cease strategizing for favor. Withdraw from campaigns to be seen. Be about the Father's business within. I must be about my Father's business. What business? Recognition. God is. Then silence. Do the task at hand with unlabored attention as transparency, not performer. Doors open that no man can shut, and shut that no man can open, not as prizes for piety, but because you are no longer blocking grace with a plan. Influence ceases to be social arithmetic and becomes presence announcing itself through the work already before you. Promotion is not a step on a ladder. It is the lifting of the veil that hid sufficiency where you stand. How shall you measure? By peace, not by instant results. The peace of God, which passeth all understanding, is the first fruit, not the last. Fruit follows root. If you dig up the tree each hour to count the new figs, you kill what you question. Do not peek. Do not test omnipresence with a stopwatch. Let the inner hush be your measure, and let the forms report when they will or not at all. For sometimes the form you wanted was the veil itself. By their fruits ye shall know them. Yes, but the first fruit is the quiet ending of strain. All else is added beyond your sight. Therefore, in each arena, refuse demonstration of things. Demonstrate God. Say once, God is, then yield. Wait until the urge to arrange has no more argument that you believe. Then go on your way. Grace will have its way with your day. Supply unobstructed, health unveiled, relationships harmonized, work unforced because God is, and there is no other power to resist God being God. Begin now, not tomorrow, not when the house is quieter, not when you feel ready. This very night, turn it over. Sit for 5 minutes in wordless recognition. Close the lips. Hold those teeth together. If you must, say once in the heart, only once God is, then let even that fall away. Be still and know that I am God. Do not tell, do not ask, do not bargain. Sit until the itch to compose another sentence has no authority. Sit until you can say with the Master, not as a vow but as a fact, I can of my own self do nothing. The Father within me doeth the works. Consent to that. Consent to the quiet doing of God. Tomorrow, carry the 2-word treatment like a bell in your pocket. Many brief visits, no strain. At the doorway before you stepped out, God is in silence. Before the call, before the email, before the meal, God is, and silence. Do not push. Do not peep to see if it is working. Pray without ceasing means recognize without ceasing. Short and honest is better than long and labored. The bell rings. You enter, you drop the words, you rest. If the mind begins to count the times, stop, stop. Let the counting end and the consenting begin. God is one. God is power. Therefore, there is only one power and recognition of. That is your entire way. When you are called upon by a friend, a stranger, a note that trembles, do not treat. Do not send a raft of thoughts across an imaginary river. Consent to presence for them as for yourself. Sit. God is, and silence. Not 2 lives connected by a beam, but one life being itself without opposite. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. The midst is not between, it is the one life of all. In that midst there is liberty. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty. Not liberty to get your way. Liberty from the belief in 2 ways. Liberty from the need to make anything happen. In that liberty, forms recompose without argument, because no second power remains to resist the one. Let us agree together, not as schedulers, but as a company of recognition. As you go from this room, carry the hush we have touched as a shared trust. If, at some hour, You remember that we also remember. Let it draw you inward. God is in silence. If you pass one another on a street, let the glance be a silent bow to oneness, and go on. If you are awake in the night watches, consent again, not for yourself alone, but because there is no self alone. If there are 10 righteous men in a city, the witness goes. The whole city is upheld. Be among the 10 not by speech, but by stillness. United consciousness is not many minds agreeing. It is one presence acknowledging itself where you are. And let this close the argument of identity. As long as God is, I am, hear it and let it be final. As long as God is, you are, and not as a separate life struggling to reach God, but as transparency through which God is being God. The kingdom of God is within you, not ahead, not afar within. In him we live and move and have our being. So take no thought for tomorrow's proof. Take thought for one thing, this recognition, God is. Then silence. Tonight, 5 minutes. Tomorrow, many brief turnings. When called upon, consent rather than perform. Where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty, and it is here. Now, the Father within doeth the works. Let him